Hello and welcome to another episode of Beer Man's No Bull Beer Reviews. Today I have another beer from Brew Gentleman out of Braddock, Pennsylvania. These guys, I was just in, like I said in my last video, I was just in Pittsburgh, so I brought some growlers down to do a couple reviews of beers that I hadn't reviewed yet. This one, I'll just take this off of here. The tag. It is called Mr. Automatic. Here it just says Robust Porter, 6.7 ABV. So this is one of their... It is not a flagship and it is not a seasonal. It's one of their every so often beers. I don't know. They probably give it a different name than that, but whatever they call it. It's kind of in the same realm as like Momo. CPA recertified, and those guys. So beers that they continue to make, but not year round and not consistently every season. Just whenever they feel like it. They're not one-offs at least. So let's crack it open and see what we got. A little less carbonated than the Lou was, which was interesting. Not that that's a big deal, but I was kind of surprised by that. I guess it makes sense for the type of beer, but it is less alcohol, so can't get that stupid tag to show. There we go. Maybe it doesn't look that good, but anyways, as you can see, it pours a pretty dark brown to black color. It had a small beige to tan head that dissipated pretty quickly. Yeah, that's about it. So, the aroma is really similar to a lot of their other beers where it doesn't, aside from their hoppy beers, it doesn't punch you in the face. It's just really, really nice, well-rounded and subdued notes of different things. So I would say it's a nice blend of like light dark chocolate and roasted malts. I wouldn't necessarily say like coffee though. I don't think it's like coffee. I think it's just like roasted grain. But for a standard porter, like, this is pretty much what it's supposed to smell like. There's really nothing else, there's nothing else added to it. This is such an underrated beer in their portfolio, too. It actually hits up front with like a little bit of earthy hoppiness, which is not necessarily expected from the aroma, in my opinion. But it's not like a hoppy porter. I wouldn't call it that. But it's just that, it keeps it from being too bitter and too sweet. At least too roasty bitter. Then it goes into like this nice medium roast malt and dark chocolate, and it actually finishes, at least in the taste, with some dark roasted coffee notes. I don't really get it as much in the aroma, but definitely in the taste. There's like a very small nutty character to it. Which to me kind of keeps it in the porter realm and not a stout. It's one of those things like the porters and stouts, for a lot of companies and a lot of beers, they're interchangeable, but like if you have a really well done oatmeal stout or you know, just lower ABV stout versus a really well done what's traditional porter. There is a difference in my opinion. Like in this, the mouthfeel isn't as creamy as like an oatmeal stout should be, but it's sweeter than like a dry stout, but it's less sweet than an oatmeal stout. I mean, it just really has its own place, and like I said this from the first time I had this because I was blown away by it just for a standard, you know, lower alcohol porter. It's not low alcohol, but it's lower. It's not an imperial porter. I called this the Eddie Fitz killer, and that's in reference to Edmund Fitzgerald from Great Lakes, which, in my opinion, for standard classic porters, especially if you're just talking about American brewers, but even if we're not, I'll throw in like Taddy Porter from Sam Smith. But that Great Lakes Edmund Fitzgerald, which is what I was referencing there, and Founders Porter are like, to me, the top three that are just absolutely perfect in an example of that style. If you were giving a beer to somebody who hasn't had that style and they wanted to know what it should taste like, those are the beers that I would give them. But those are classics that have been around for, I'm thinking like, the newest one is probably Founders. And I mean, that's been around for, I don't know what now, like 20 years probably. So for any brewery that's even remotely newer, to have something to that level, to me, is really impressive. It is a little creamy. It's not like oatmeal stout creamy, but it's not watery. There's nothing about it that even juts out a little bit as like astringent or offensive. It's very, very well rounded. It's just like those other examples. It's just absolutely, if you want just a nice lower alcohol roasty beer, not too roasty, not too sweet, like this is perfect. And I mean, I would say, in my opinion, the only difference between this and then it comes down to personal preference is this is probably slightly more sweet than Edmund Fitzgerald, but not by a lot. This is not sweet at all, but Edmund Fitzgerald to me is like a little more dry. And I would say I can tell the difference, but I can't really say which one I would prefer. To me, it's like a crapshoot, but that's what. But this really reminds me of Edmund Fitzgerald a lot, and that's why I said that. You know, it's just like what a good porter should be. It's an equal balance between full body and really drinkable at the same time. And the flavor never drops off at all. It's completely through. It never turns into this like lighter caramely beer, which some porters do, but it's never too roasty or too bitter or ashy. I know I'm a fanboy for these guys, so I'm sure people are sick of hearing me praise them so much, but the trust me, the praise is legitimate. I'm not saying this because I'm like friends with these guys or something like that. All their stuff really is that good. To me, this is the type of beer that makes them like completely top level. The IPAs are absolutely great. They're world class, but a lot of people are making really good IPAs. But to be able to do that and make a bunch of other really good styles, to me, is what's most impressive. And something as simple as a porter, and to make it this good is really, really impressive. And it really goes to show how talented Zach is, their head brewer, and just like how technically sound he is to be able to make something like this. So it's this clean and perfect for the style. So I think pretty obvious, but my thoughts on buy, drink, dump is absolutely buy. You can easily find anyone who lives in Pittsburgh to get you a growler full of this. I don't want to say no one cares about it, because a lot of people who know what they're talking about care about it, but you know, they're not going to hold you hostage and try to get anything even remotely crazy for it. If you offer basically any locals that you can't get in Pittsburgh that are decent, someone will fill you a growler of this. So, but I would definitely seek it out. If you just want something a little different from all the craziness today and something that's really drinkable and awesome, absolutely get this. Really, really great beer. But yeah, that's all I got on this guy. Please like, comment, subscribe. Let me know what you think, and I look forward to doing the next one. Thanks.